Hi friends, would you like to read some Bible stories with me? Today we will be reading The Two Brothers and Jacob and Rachel. The Two Brothers. Isaac and Rebekah lived very happily together, but they didn't have any children. At last, Isaac prayed to God for a son. God heard his prayer, and after some months, Rebekah gave birth to twin sons, whom she called Esau and Jacob. God told her they would become the founders of warring nations, and that Jacob, the younger of the twins, would rule over his elder brother. The boys grew up into strong young men. Esau became a hunter who loved to search the hills for wild animals to cook into tasty stews. Jacob preferred to stay near the tents with his mother, Rebekah, who loved him the best of her two sons. When Isaac was very old, he grew blind. One day he called Esau to him. "My son," he said, "I'm old and don't know how much longer I shall live. Go hunting, kill a deer, and make it into the tasty venison stew that I enjoy so much. Then I will give you, as my eldest son, my special blessing." Overhearing Isaac say this to Esau, Rebekah wanted Jacob to have his father's special blessing instead. When Esau went off to hunt in the hills, she told Jacob to bring her 2 young goats, which she would make into a stew. As soon as the stew was cooked, she told Jacob to take it to Isaac, pretending to be Esau. Jacob did as he was told. He dressed up in some of Esau's clothes and took the stew and some wine to old blind Isaac. "Here's your stew, father. I've made it just as you like it," said Jacob. "Is that you, Esau?" asked Isaac. "Yes," lied Jacob. Isaac ate the stew and then said, "Come here, my son." He prayed to God and gave him his special blessing to Jacob. When Esau came back from hunting with the meat for the stew, he soon found that Isaac had already eaten and had given his special blessing to Jacob. Esau was so angry, Rebekah was afraid he would kill Jacob. To save her son, she persuaded Isaac to let Jacob go to her family, where he would be safe and where he would find a wife. Jacob left at once on the long journey north, alone and very scared. That evening he reached a deserted valley and lay down to sleep with only a stone for his pillow. During the night, he dreamed that he saw a huge ladder reaching up to heaven. Angels were climbing up and down it. At the very top was God. God said to Jacob, "I will give you the land you lie on, to you and to your family, which will grow into a great nation. I shall always be with you. I will look after you and bring you back to this land." When Jacob woke up very early the next morning, he was very frightened because he felt that God was in this place and it was the gate to heaven. But he remembered what God had said to him, and he promised that he would always be faithful to God. Then he went on his journey to find his mother's family. Jacob and Rachel. Jacob walked alone for many days until at last he reached the land where his mother's family lived. He stopped at a well to ask some men with flocks of sheep if they knew his uncle Laban. "Yes," they replied, "and here comes his daughter Rachel to water her sheep at the well." Jacob was overjoyed to meet Rachel. He told her who he was and helped her water the sheep. Then she ran home to her father Laban. When Laban heard that Jacob was at the well, he ran to greet Jacob and welcome him to his house. Jacob stayed with Laban and worked for him for a month. Then Laban asked him what he wanted to be paid for his work. I'll work for you for 7 years if you let me marry your youngest daughter, Rachel, said Jacob. Laban agreed, and Jacob loved Rachel so much. The 7 years seemed to pass like 7 days. On the wedding day Jacob longed for, Laban brought his eldest daughter Leah to marry Jacob. It's the custom in this country that the younger daughter can't be married before the elder daughter, so you must marry Leah, he said. Leah was a pleasant-looking girl, but it was the beautiful Rachel that Jacob loved. After the wedding, Laban agreed that Jacob could marry Rachel as well, but he would have to work for him for another 7 years. Jacob married Rachel, and now he had 2 wives, but his house wasn't a happy one. Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah, which made Leah unhappy. As the years passed, Leah had 6 sons and a daughter, but Rachel had none, which made her unhappy. Then, at last, she had her first son, whom she called Joseph. During all the years Jacob worked for Laban, his uncle had grown rich, with huge herds of cows and flocks of sheep and goats. Now Jacob longed to go home to Canaan. "Let me take my wives and children and go to my own country," he said to Laban. Laban didn't want Jacob to leave, but he said, "What shall I pay you for all your work?" "I don't want money," replied Jacob. "Instead, let me take all the black lambs and speckled and spotted sheep and goats from your herds." Laban agreed, and Jacob and his sons sorted out the sheep and goats. Then Jacob, Leah, Rachel, and their children packed all their possessions on camels, and taking the sheep and goats, as well as their cows and donkeys, began their journey. Jacob sent a message to his brother Esau that he was on his way home. Then he heard that Esau was coming to meet him with 400 men. Jacob thought that this meant Esau was going to attack and kill him. He prayed to God for help. Then he sent a servant with many of his goats, sheep, camels, cows, and donkeys as a present to Esau. The rest of the flocks he sent across a river with his 2 wives and 11 sons, where he thought they would be safe. Alone and afraid, he waited for Esau. That night a man came and fought Jacob. All night they wrestled, without a word being spoken. Jacob didn't know who this stranger was, but he knew he came from God. When the sun rose at dawn, the man said, "Now you must let me go." "I won't let you go until you have given me your blessing," replied Jacob. "What's your name?" asked the man. "It's Jacob," said Jacob. "From now on, your name shall be Israel," said the man. He gave Jacob his blessing and disappeared. In the morning light, Jacob saw Esau and all his men approaching in a great cloud of dust. Jacob bowed to his brother and waited, but Esau ran up to him, flung his arms around him and kissed him. "Welcome home, my brother," he said. And they both wept with the joy at meeting again. All the old quarrels were forgotten. I hope you'll join me for some more Bible stories.